Hey guys, what's up? You guys doing all right? Now don't forget to check us out online. You can subscribe to our free video podcast, check out other resources we have on there. We stream our shows online, and you know what? You can also check out what show times and what networks we're on.
Very cool thing. Today we've been talking with Flyleaf. The front woman, Lacy, has an amazing story. She's been through a lot. Here's Lacy talking about being a former atheist.
You know, the story of how I came to believe in God and believe in Jesus is very miraculous, and I didn't believe in God beforehand, and if I hadn't seen something miraculous, then I wouldn't have believed. And I'm so thankful that God chased me down and showed me that, because I was not running towards Him at all. You know, I was kidding. The day that I got saved, I planned to commit suicide. The day I got saved, and it was so miraculous how it took one miraculous thing after another, because even when I saw that God was speaking, I rationalized it, and I said, oh, it's just a coincidence. But then it was too many things at the end, and really, just like the word says, it's not by might or by power, but by the Spirit. And no one comes to the Father unless the Spirit draws him. And that's exactly what it was. Somebody could have told me all day about God and answered every one of my questions, and I still would have had something to say. You know, I still would have had an excuse not to believe. And it's not about, you know, a person. And I didn't depend on people. And when I got saved, it was God Himself that that showed Himself to me, revealed Himself to me in a loving way. Well, what happened was God used a series of events. Like, what's cool about it is that, well, the word says the whole earth is full of His glory. And to me, it's everywhere. If God's gonna chase you, you'll see Him when you talk to every person you talk to. You'll see it, you'll hear it, and if you watch TV, you'll see it, and if you listen to music, you'll hear it, and if you walk down the street, you'll see it everywhere. You know, the whole earth is full of His glory. Everything points to Him. You know, and if you really, if the Spirit's drawing you, it's gonna draw you from every direction. You know, and so that's kind of how it happened with me, and still I rationalized it, and still it was a lot of pride, because I was a really bold, outspoken atheist, and I was like, if anybody talked about Christianity, I was just right there beside them going, oh yeah, you believe that? Well, why is this? And why is this? And I couldn't get good answers. Well, God says to love Him with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. So at first, He stole my heart, you know. No matter what I knew in my head, no matter what questions I had, I knew what was going on in my heart, and I couldn't explain it logically or with science or with whatever. I couldn't explain it, but I knew that I was standing in front of love, which, if love is eternal and we can't understand eternity, then we can't really understand love unless God reveals it to us, you know. And so I understood what love was for the first time. I felt loved in my life, and I had a boyfriend that I was with for 3 years, and I took care of my brothers and sisters, and I thought that I loved them. But when I saw God's love, I realized how unloving I was, you know, how selfish my love was, and what God showed me when this man at this church laid hands on me and prayed for me. He laid his hands on me, and I was crying, and he was like, do you want me to pray for God to take your pain away? And like I said before, I planned to commit suicide that night. I'm like, I'm desperate. I'm just like, okay, you can take it away. I mean, you can pray that, and I don't know if I believe it, but I'm desperate, so whatever, try it. And so he put his hands on me, he prayed. As soon as he started to pray, I felt God's presence. I experienced it and I saw myself for who I was. I saw that I was selfish. I saw that I was hateful. I saw that you know, all the way I abused myself and I abused other people, you know, I saw all of it, and at the same time, I saw God say, I love you just like you are. You don't have to change yourself. You don't have to be perfect. I love you with all of your past. I'm not ashamed of you. I love you, and that's the thing that that drew me in, you know. So that's the Spirit, you know, that's not something men make up, that's not logic, you know, that's not science, that's the Spirit. And when I went home, I had to know exactly what the Bible really said. I had to know if this happened to me, I had to know that it is Christianity. I had to know that it is the Bible. And of course I was hungry for the word, and immediately I wanted to know what it said. I wanted to know what the, because I don't take men's word for anything. I just know I'm like Thomas or whatever. I'm like, show me, So when I started to read what the Bible really said, all the pieces started to fit together, and all this stuff in the Bible was explaining my experience, explaining my story, explaining my life. And the more I studied the claims of Jesus and the excuses that people have for him not being that, whatever they say about him, that he never existed. I mean, that he was just a good man, that he was a prophet, that he was crazy, all those things, you study those things. And I was so hungry for it because I had to be able to back it up. I had to be able to answer those questions that nobody else could answer. And it all checks out. So the foundation got built so firm. But along with that, I was learning about prayer, and I was seeing answers to prayers, and I was seeing miracles, and I was seeing people's lives change around me, and I actually loved people for the first time.
Today's church just isn't the church that the Bible intended there to be, It's like, I don't know, like I said it earlier today, like it's just not the church that Paul fought for, It's hard to find that these days.
But see, the thing is too, is like when I think about the church, it just depends on, it's semantics, it's the word church, whatever that means. But when I think about the church, like the bride of Christ, the people who are on fire for God that I see come out to our shows in the middle of a bar and say, I love that you say Jesus is here. People that are encouraging and saying, we're praying for you and we've got you covered. And that's beautiful church. And we see it all over the place, especially in what we do, because it takes somebody who's fallen, who knows that they're forgiven, to come and appreciate what we do. Because there's times where we are so far away from the place a teacher should be. It's like when you see the church saying, we're praying for you, don't give up, lives are changing, we're seeing it, God is moving. I felt the Spirit tonight in the room when we didn't feel it at all on stage. But if they say that, then we know, it's not about emotions, but it's good to know that, that it can be a physical feeling. And that's the touch that we want the audience who doesn't know God, we want them to feel that, be hungry for it, and be like, what was that, Gosh, I want that. And then when they see it, maybe in a Christian person, or when they feel it again, maybe in a church or somewhere, then they say, oh, that's what it is. And hopefully they'll get a good picture of it, an accurate, picture of who Jesus really is,
And that's the church that, Paul and the rest of the apostles, were beaten for and went to jail for and were killed for. That's the church, the church of love. And it's an amazing thing, and like we're finding that, in the bars and stuff like that, not so much in the church buildings, but like we're finding that with fellow Christians who are in the world.
Earlier, Lacy from Flyleaf was talking about overcoming her inner demons and the bondages and the fear that was just encapsulated within her for years. She was a former atheist, but guess what? She tested the Bible, and the Bible was true. Jesus Christ is your only Savior. It was her only answer. And that's why today she's singing about the hope of the Lord in bars. That group, Flyleaf, is living the Great Commission. So awesome.
That's right. And God is always on time. He's always going to show up. Just like with Lacy, he showed up right in time. It would have been really fatal, if he wouldn't stepped into her life. And I'm telling you right now, you might be watching us and saying, that's it. I'm giving up on life. I can't have any more. And God right now is intervening, saying, hey, I'm here. I have my arms wide open, ready to embrace you. And all you have to do is accept him. And you can accept him by accepting his son that he sent to die on the cross for you. When you ask him into your heart, he's going to satisfy your life in a way that you've never been satisfied before. You might be questioning things, and I'm not saying that all the answers are going to be answered right away, but I'm saying if you start right now by asking Christ into your heart, you're going to start a relationship with someone that really cares about you more than beyond human love. I mean, it's godly love. And I want you to go onto our website and learn more about this relationship. It's not something that you can just, boom, start. It's something that I want you to seriously consider. But it's the only way to have true peace.
Please visit us online. All those answers can be found. Online, we also have show times and stations that we air on, so check it out. That's it for us. We'll see you guys next week. God bless.